Hi everyone, it's Rain here from Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Happy spring equinox! This means spring fever for me and garden fever, although there's still snow on the ground. That's why I'm in the basement today. I wanted to talk to you about what I'm doing for my garden this year. Now, last fall I did a video about the harsh realities of gardening here. I moved here in 2020 and I experienced a lot of challenges, and I was just so busy with my life and the new house and everything like that that I couldn't really think about what was the deal with the challenges here in my 5B zone. But I spent a couple of months over the winter thinking about what was going on, and it came down to 4 challenges. Now, the first challenge for me is cost, and I'll give you a good example that I gave last fall. I spent $40 on potato seeds last spring in 2022, last spring. I planted them and only yielded 15 pounds of potatoes. 15 pounds of potatoes for $40? So it's not worth it. I will never be self-sufficient when it comes to potatoes. So cost is a big problem here. I have to focus on crops that I can actually grow. So I have to grow from seed, because buying seeds is much more cost effective than buying potatoes or even onion sets or bulbs or things like that. And I have to realize also that, you know, being self-sufficient might mean spending my money buying local at farms. And there is a wonderful farm nearby where I got 300 pounds of tomatoes last fall, and I've got them still. I canned them all. It's amazing. They also have a strawberry field. So, you know, I have to figure out what crops is more cost-effective to buy versus to grow on my own. So cost is the first thing. When it comes to cost, I would say that for the garlic, I am now going to be self-sufficient, so that's not going to cost me anything but my time. For asparagus, I'm going to continue to grow that on my own as well, because in the last 4 years, I've spent $14 on asparagus. And asparagus is wonderful. Once you plant it in the ground, you leave it for 2 years. The 3rd season, you harvest a little bit, maybe 50%, and then the 4th season you just go gangbusters, and you can, sometimes they last like 5 to 7 years. So this year I bought another bunch of asparagus plants that I'm going to plant, so that I will always have a cycle. And if in the space of 6 years I spend $14 on garlic, I keep saying garlic, on asparagus plants, that's definitely cost effective for the yield that I'm going to get. So the second challenge that I had is critters. I live very rural, and there are a lot of birds here. And I'm not just talking little chickadees and mourning doves. I've got crows, blue jays, wild turkeys, and eagles and hawks. And I noticed last year that a lot of birds were around my raised beds. And I also noticed that the wild turkeys would come. I had a trail camera on, and they would come and they would eat all my seeds. And they ate all of my onions right out of the ground. I don't know how much I spent on onion sets. I got 0 yield because the wild turkeys ate all of them. So I have to be able to protect my plants. So cost-effective thing, I've got it down. I know what I can grow. I know I have to grow from seed, and I know which crops I can get from the local farms. Protecting my seeds, I'm going to have to build some kind of cage with chicken wire, which is what I did at the last place that I lived, and it worked really well because I had a lot of problems with rabbits eating my crops. So I'm going to be going into that in the summer, building some kind of cage with chicken wire to protect the crops. Now, the third challenge that I have, that we all have as gardeners, is weather. Nobody can control Mother Nature. She does what she does, and we love her for it. But sometimes that makes for bad gardening seasons. Like last year, we had tons of rain and a really early frost. So I can't control the weather, but I can control protecting my crops. I mentioned that to protect them from the critters, I'm going to build cages with chicken wire. So this year I'm also going to invest in some kind of plastic or tarp to build a second layer on the cage, so that I can just put it on top if we're going to have 4 or 5 days worth of rain, and I want my plants not to drown or the seedlings not to drown, I will put this on top and protect my crops. And also this will help with early frost as well. Now the fourth challenge that I had were leggy seedlings. Now this was kind of unavoidable because I have such a short growing season. I had to start my seeds indoors, and I have a beautiful sunny window, but we aren't guaranteed to have sunny days every single day, right? And when you start your seeds indoors in a sunny window, unless you have sun every day, which I'm so envious of you if you do, these seedlings, once they germinate and start growing out of the ground, or the seeds, I mean, they start becoming seedlings, they're reaching for the light because they need a lot of light at the beginning to start growing. And in a window, they're searching for that light and they start to grow really tall, and that's what you call leggy, a leggy seedling. They're very tall. They don't have the opportunity to grow very strong roots. So when you transplant them into the ground, a lot of the times they break or they're too weak and they can't hold themselves up and they're just gonna die. And that's what happened to me last year. So I have these 4 challenges. I have cost under my belt, no problem. I know what I'm going to do to protect my plants from the critters. I know what I'm going to do to protect my plants from Mother Nature. And now I know what I'm going to do to prevent leggy seedlings. And that is what this video is about today. I am going to show you how I'm going to set up my basement grow light gardening system. So I'm in my basement and I'm about to set up my whole system. Now the first thing obviously that you're going to need are the lights. Don't get fooled by the term grow light. You need a specific light. This is a shop light here. I'm showing you it like this because it's 4 feet long. You basically need certain lumens and kelvins, and I did some research, and a lot of very credible sources said that as long as you have lumens over 2,000 and kelvins over 5,000, that they will work very well as grow lights. Now, do your own research on this, but this is just what I learned. And so I bought these lights through Amazon, and I'm going to be very transparent about the cost of all this. I got a pack of 12 of these. These are shop lights. They're called shop lights, not grow lights. And these are 2200 lumens and 6500 kelvins, and I got a pack of 12 for $90 Canadian. Granted, they were on sale because I was waiting for sales and I had a $10 coupon, but I think that the normal price is $120 Canadian, which would make them anywhere between $7.50 to $10 each. Now these are what I call disposable lights, unfortunately, because you can't replace the light bulb on these. And I did some research between buying a fixture where you could change the light bulbs or buying these disposable ones. And at this time in my life, these are much more cost-worthy. The fixtures were 3 times the price, and I just couldn't afford it. So I bought these. Mind you, these are supposed to last a very long time. These particular lights are supposed to last 100,000 hours before they conk out on you, and I did the math. If I keep these on 16 hours a day, 365 days a year, they should last about 20 years. So for me, paying $90 plus taxes for 20 years worth of light, I think that's pretty cost effective, and I can handle the fact that these are disposable. Now that's just an estimate. They may last 10 years, 15 years, but still it's pretty good. So you've got your lights, and the next thing you need is a stand for your lights. You could hang them off your ceiling if you can, but most people will need a stand for them. A lot of people will buy shelving. I personally couldn't afford shelving, so I bought lumber. I went to my Home Depot and I purchased lumber. I got 18 8-foot 2x4s. Now, I have an SUV, and there's no way I could have brought 18 8-foot 2x4s back to my house, which is a 90-minute drive away. So I'm lucky that Home Depot does free cuts. But I think they're expecting you to say, okay, I need this cut in half, thanks. I went to the guy and I was like, okay, I think I needed like 50 something cuts. He was like, oh, well, we normally don't do that. And I said, oh, well, I can pay you if you want. He's like, No, it's okay. I'll do it for you because I told him about the project and everything like that. Because I wanted to make my stands 3 feet high. And in order to make them 3 feet high, I needed certain measurements. I needed, because my grow lights are 48 inches wide, I decided to get 50 inches for the top to hold the grow light. So 50 inches like this. And each side, because they're 3 feet high, 36 inches for each side. And then, oh, these get heavy. A 10-inch little piece to sort of hold everything up. And I'm going to show you my plans. Like I said, I'll put that all in the description below. So I had a lot of cuts, but I bought 18 2x4s and he cut them all. He was really, really super nice about it. And they fit into my car and it cost me a total of $60. Other supplies that you're going to need are screws. I already had 2.5-inch deck screws here, so I didn't have to buy any. You're going to need hooks to hold whatever's holding your lights. So I bought 3 packs of these little screws at Home Depot. You're also going to need something to hold the lights, and a lot of people will use chain. Sometimes when you buy your shop lights, they come with chain. Mine didn't. And I calculated for 12 grow light stands, I needed a total of 72 feet of chain. At Home Depot, the cheapest place I know, you know, $1.81 a foot for chain. I wasn't going to pay $150 for chain. So I was looking around my basement and I had this pack of nylon rope, or is it twisted polypropylene mason's line. There's 225 feet here. And you know, this is fine because those grow lights, I don't even think they weigh a pound. So I'm going to set them up on the hooks with rope. And the reason why I decided to make 3 foot high grow stands is because eventually next winter I want to test to see if I can grow tomatoes in my basement, and I want them to be high enough so that the tomatoes grow. You can make them any size, any height you want. A lot of people will make them 2 feet high, but I decided, well, you know, for $15 extra, I'll buy the extra lumber and I'll get them 3 feet high, and we'll see. You can adjust the light with the rope. That's the whole point. You're also going to need an extension cord if you don't have an outlet right beside where you have your grow light system. You're also going to need tools. You're going to need a drill, and you're going to need a drill bit as well that will screw everything in, and you need something to make holes in your lumber because you want to pre-drill the holes in your lumber so that your lumber doesn't crack. I also bought 4 tarps at the dollar store. They were $2.25 each, and again, I'll put the entire cost of everything in the description below. And I've basically set up in my basement 4 tarp areas where I'm going to put my grow lights. And the basement is pretty warm down here because you don't want it to be too cold. Your seeds need to be warm to germinate, right? So the tarp is just for a little bit of extra insulation, and also in case I spill water or I spill dirt or anything like that. So I'm going to start building these stands. I'd like to thank Jordan from the YouTube channel Restorative Gardening with Mind and Soul for the idea of making these stands. This is brilliant because it's so easy. You don't need to have special equipment. You can do this in one afternoon. So thanks, Jordan. I'll put his information in the description below. I've built 3 of these already, and now I know how to work smart. We're going to start with the top piece. Now basically this is 50 inches across, and I want to put 2 hooks in it. And so I figured, okay, what's 50 divided by 3? More or less 16, right? Because 16 times 3 is 48. So from either side, I'm measuring approximately 16 inches because I want the hooks to be kind of like this, you know, in thirds. So 16 inches from each end, like I said, very approximately. I'm just marking out where I want to drill my hole. And I'm going to drill a little hole right in the middle of the top here at those 16-inch marks. All right, so I've got those drilled. I'm trying to be careful of my microphone here. I don't want to cut a hole through that. And I'm going to put my hooks in. All right, that's one. And that's two. That's step one. Now, step two is to prepare the actual light for hanging. I've got here some of that nylon rope that I measured out to 3.5 feet. Because my grow light stand is 3 feet tall, I want to be able to move it up and down. So I've got it at 3.5 feet right now because I am going to be tying knots in it and I don't want to fall short. So I have 2 pieces pre-cut. And with your grow lights, or your shop lights I'll call them, you'll probably get a little package of hardware like this. And part of that package is something that looks like this. And that's basically what you're going to clip onto your shop light so you can attach it onto the top piece. But before we attach it, that's where these come in handy, these little pieces of nylon rope. I'm going to twist them a little bit and stick them through the hole in that piece of hardware. And if you're using nylon like I am, be really careful because it frays very easily. And you have to tie a knot 3 times, okay? So don't be stingy on the knot. Because the first one I did, I tied it twice. You know, I tied the knot once, twice, and it just unraveled immediately. So I'm tying it 3 times now, and I guess as I go along I'll have to see if it needs a 4th knot. But for now 3 seems to be okay, and I'm going to tighten that knot. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other little piece of hardware. If your shop lights come with chains, I think that would be a lot easier than tying knots and all that stuff. But you know, I just couldn't afford chain. Couldn't afford it. $1.81 a foot, and I need 71 feet. So you guys can do the math, but that's nearly 150 bucks, including tax probably. This is supposed to be a frugal project. And even under 200 for the total is, you know, pushing the boundaries of frugal to me, but it'll be worth it because I can't see myself ever having to replace these stands ever. The lights maybe, but not the stands. They're going to last a lifetime. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to just kind of measure out to make sure that I've got a little bit of space on either side of the top with my light. And around where the hook is, that's where I'm going to snap on that piece of hardware. Tighten that knot again. Same thing for the other side. Just approximately where the hook is, because you can always move these. And I'm going to tighten the knot. All right, so I'm going to put that aside for now. And we're going to assemble the legs onto the top. So we want to attach the brace onto the leg first. What we're going to do is basically this, okay? So I am going to just measure to make sure that the brace is approximately right, sort of, you know, in the middle here. I'm totally eyeballing this project, my friends. I would suggest that you would probably pre-drill some holes before you put your screws in there, but I'm, like I said, I'm doing this quick and dirty, so I'm just going to make sure that the braces go in flush with the bottom of the leg, all right? that's our first leg. See how it stands up on its own? This is brilliant. Thank you so much, Jordan. So this is going to be one side. And I'm going to grab the other side and do it. Just make sure you put it on the right way. You've got one going this way. You need to make sure you've got one going this way, right? Let's work smart. All right. Again, make sure it's flush with the bottom so that it stands straight. And away we go. Okay, so now we've got two sides. Now we just have to assemble the top. Now when you're putting the top onto the legs, make sure the hooks are on the bottom. Don't forget that. And I'm basically using one of my other grow lights that I made to sort of help me hold things up, because this is a one-woman job here. So I've got to make sure I use all of the surfaces I can to help me. All right, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting screws into these. And like I said, if you want to, you can pre-drill some holes to make sure your wood doesn't split, but I'm hoping it won't. Make sure it's flush here, and make sure this is on the top, not here. You want it to have a good support. The first one's on. Now I'm going to turn this around and put the second one on. I have to move the microphone now. When you're putting the legs on, make sure the brace is on the outside, okay? Because that's basically what's holding it all up. Make sure it's flush. And your test is basically, can it stand up on its own right now? Yes, it can. So I have it in the right spot. No major measuring required, which I really like, because I like to get things done. I'm a busy gal. Okay, I just want to make sure that's flush because I felt it move a little. Let me pull that out. All right. So there you go, the grow light is done. Okay, now we're going to assemble the light underneath. So now I'll show you how I hang the lights. I've basically put loops in the other ends of the nylon rope, and they just hang from the hooks. It's as easy as that. I'm hanging them quite low right now because I don't know exactly what height I'm going to need them. It depends. I'm going to be putting seed trays under, and maybe pots, and maybe other size plants and things like that. So whatever height I need when I'm ready, I just have to raise, and that's it. I put another knot in, and then I'll hang it from the hook. These are just, I'm so excited about these. So now I'm going to put the lights on all of my other stands, get them in place, and then connect them all together. So this is my first light here. I've connected it to an actual wire that has a plug on it, and it has an on-off switch. And all the other ones are interconnected, and I'll show you that now. I just wanted to show you how I'm connecting them all together. As you can see, at the end of each light, there's an outlet. So I've plugged it in with one of these wires, the connectors. So this light will connect to this light. And over on that end, that light will connect to that light. And over on this end, this light will connect to this light. And so on, and so on, and so on. So they're all connected. Let me just go to the end here, and I'll show you something here. Wherever you have the end of a light here that you're not putting a connector in, the package came with these nice little plastic covers that you just snap right on like this. Because I have 4-foot long lights, the company that manufactures these has recommended that you only connect 8 of these lights together, no more than 8. So I'm going to have to shuffle around the house. I do have another extension cord, but if not, just keep that in mind. If they're 4 feet long and you have 12 lights, you can only connect 8 together at the same time. So you might have to get 2 extension cords if you don't have an outlet close by. Light goes off, light goes on, light goes off, light goes on. Well, my friends, that was an afternoon of work well spent. My garden basement grow light system is up and running, so the next thing that I have to do is get my seeds started, and I'm going to make a video on that. So the next video that you see with the subject of the grow lights, I'll show you all of the seeds that I've planted and how I've set up, how high I've put the lights and things like that. So I hope that you follow along with my journey, my grow light journey, and make sure you check out the description below for my plans and all of the supplies that I used, including everything that I had to pay for and the total cost of this entire grow light system. I really, really enjoyed this. This is getting me really excited about gardening again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave me a comment. I love reading your comments and I do reply to them. So we'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Thanks for watching. Bye.